Welcome to this channel, Nessa Sunshine. I'm Nessa, and today we are getting into a soft glam, in-depth, detailed tutorial. If you are a beginner and you're interested in getting soft glam, this is the video for you. If you are just interested in this look, well, this is the video for you. If you are not already, subscribe to this channel, and let's get into the tutorial. Going to get into this Embryolase. I don't know if that's how you say it right, but it's a moisturizing cream. Face prep is super important to a soft glam to feel, moisturized, ready for the day. Yeah, just make sure your face is hydrated. I'm going to also spray my face. So I'm going to shake up my Airbrush Flawless Finish Charlotte Tilbury. This I'm going to use to prep and also to set. So I'm going to spray. Next, I'm getting into the Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. It has a little bit of SPF in it, which is great. You can apply SPF to as well. I'm just going to use a pump. I shook it just like I shook the spray. I shook this too, and I'm just going to apply this everywhere, mostly focused on the T-zone, because for me, everybody's face is different. You may have dry skin, you may have combo skin, you may have oily skin. My T-zone is the most porous and the most needed area for primer. For foundation, I'm getting into the Rare Beauty 190W foundation. And then this is my Freck Beauty sponge. It's clean and damp. I really like the applicator in this. I feel like it's very easy and friendly to use. I just take off a little and then I just add it right onto the face because it gives a nice even spread of foundation. So it's just like a nice layer. And then I can easily blend out, and I did like wipe it off. One other way you can do if you have like a pump is put it on your hand, pump the foundation, and then take that even with your fingers or with like a foundation flat brush and like brush onto the skin. And then I'm going to also take it over my nose. I just got a little bit more foundation. I'm taking it on top of my nose. For me, my nose is very porous, and like I said, I have the porous area in my T-zone, and I want to put primer there. I want to put foundation there. I want full coverage on my nose for me and how I like my makeup. If your nose is not as porous, you may not need that, which is nice. Everybody's different. And then what I'll do from there is I'll take the makeup up to my forehead too. So I'm going to start to blend everything on my cheeks first with my sponge. Make sure that you blend underneath too. I like to take my mirror for a lot of things and like look down below. So I take my mirror down below for my eyeshadow, for my face makeup, just so I can get all the angles. Just so I can get all the angles. And then I blend around. And this is such a pretty, I think this is such a pretty foundation. I take it down here so I could just see what's going on. And then now I can blend on my nose. Now I'm blending on my nose. And I'm not taking this up to the under the eye area that much. I'm really focusing it like on the cheek. Now I'll take whatever is left onto the forehead. I like to use a pointed tip and just kind of move in like a half circle. So I'm moving in a half circle on my forehead, and then I take whatever is left from there onto my eyelid. I use concealer for two different things and sometimes three different kind of concealers for extra glam. If you are using a foundation that's kind of light, you want your skin to show through, but you may have a few blemishes like myself. I have just some dots here and there. I do like the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. This is in the shade Light 2.3 Madeline. And I'm also using the Anastasia Beverly Hills 18. It's a flat brush. I'm taking it onto my hand to just flatten it a little bit and warm it up. And then here in the outer corners, I have a little bit of darkness. Here underneath my nose, I have a little bit of veining going on. And then I have just some like red, I don't know what they're called, little spots. And I just have like some like acne scars. So I'm going to add a little here, add a little there, add a little under here where I have the veins. I have a little like kind of vein kind of popping over here, a little red like dot from like a cut, another here. So what I'm going to do now is take that ring finger and blend just by patting. I'm patting quickly, but with like light pressure, and I pat in those areas. I like to use my finger to do this because my finger is warm, so it kind of melts into the skin a little bit. You can use the beauty sponge too if you have a damp beauty sponge. You don't have to use your finger. I would just make sure that you washed your hands before you started, that you have clean hands. And then just blend wherever you need a little extra coverage. So with that step, I take a concealer that's closer to my foundation shade, and I really like that particular one. It's a soft matte. It has really good coverage. So instead of using a full coverage foundation, you can use like a full coverage concealer that has the power to cover little spots, little areas, which is what I think concealer originated to be. But what I like to use my main concealer for is to highlight the under eye and also, help this area here. But before I get into the concealer aspect of this look, I'm going to contour. So let's get into contour next. For contour, I'm going to use the Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick Contour in the shade Medium from Makeup by Mario. What I'm going to do is a couple different things. You can choose what to do for yourself, whatever works better. I'm going to apply directly onto my cheek just a little bit, or what you can do is apply it onto your hand and use a brush to just get it more gently on there. It's up to you how much you want, how intense you want it. I want just a little bit more contour for myself. I want a little bit more glam for this soft glam in-depth tutorial, so I'm going to apply it directly onto my cheek, and you can also apply it directly onto your hand and then use that and a brush. The brush I am using also, by the way, is the EXO Cosmetics 102 brush. I'm going to go from the top of my ear. I'm going to take the edge of this contour stick and I'm just going to add that here, and then I'm just going to add another layer, just like half of that here under the chin, and then I'm going to use some up here. I go very light with it up here, just a couple little lines. Now I'm getting into my brush, and I am going to just dab it into the contour onto my hand. I'll go into my chin, brush down a little, and then I'm going to press into my chin and press all along the jawline and up into this like part that attaches to my ear. And pressing works really well for me and my skin type. I'm a little bit more oily combination. I'm pressing up here. Press all around into the hair a little bit. This is a very dense, thick brush, and it's angled, so I just use the very flat part to press. And for my nose, I do like to contour, but I like to contour with powder because I do have a more porous nose. Sometimes I will contour with cream and powder, but I notice that just takes me a lot of time. Now I'm going to start to press this contour line that I've created here, and I do like to do the line. So I'm pressing, started it from the bottom and I'm moving upward. I do press with like firm pressure. This isn't light pressure. I was using light pressure earlier with my fingers to the concealer, but for this I do use more a firmer amount of pressure. I do like to go back into the foundation I was using. I just put it on my hand and my sponge. I lightly take my sponge into my foundation, and then I can just like blend a little bit, because I feel like this area needs just a little bit of help. And I do like to kind of bring it over my chin too, like my jaw area, to make sure everything is pretty smooth. And even up here, I'll take whatever was left right up there. I'm going back into my hand and brush, and I'm going into the back part of my contour, and I'm pressing up. Press, kind of where I made that line. And you can just do this step if you want it to be a little bit less, not so intense, not so contoured, not a little less glam, a little bit more soft. But for me, I like it a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. It's time to get into concealer. For concealer, I'm getting into the Hourglass Oat It's the color Oat. It's the Vanish Concealer. What I like to do is I look down and I try and see like the shadows here. I have here. I do have a little shadow here going on. I have some shadow here. And I open my concealer just like my foundation. I try to wipe it. Sometimes I don't, but I do. I think it helps to like not get too wild. I'll be a little bit more soft than too glam. So I'm gonna look down, place the concealer right over the dark area, but not go all the way up to my eye. Same thing, I'm going to switch the other side of the applicator and then just put it there. It doesn't have to be this intense. It can be less. And then I'll take a little bit here going up. I'll take a little bit here going up too. Maybe add a little bit more because I think I have a little bit more on that side. And then I'll add just a little right in there for my 11 lines. A little here. I do have a little bit here and then here and here. I have a little bit of shadow that occurs there. Why? I don't know. And then I think that's good. I'm going to take my beauty sponge to blend it everywhere except for the under eye. I'll kind of wait for that area to set a little bit. So I'll blend here and here. And then I'll kind of bring whatever is left onto like my chin area. I'll bring that there under here. I kind of also like maneuver my middle finger to like help me get into areas that I might need. Also with like getting into the eye area, I do like to like squish it a little bit to help. I'll start to blend the under eye, but I don't want to get too close to the inner part yet. So I'll blend around most of it and bring it like to the nose area, the side of the nose over here. And then I'll start to blend up. I'll use the edge rounded part that's like next to the flat part, if you could kind of see, to kind of like blend up and create like this like lifted illusion. Very glamorous indeed. And then I'll kind of keep that there. And then I will do the same thing to the other side. Before I continue blending, I like to get my powder ready. And I use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. And I use the shade Fair because it does kind of like, once you like set it, it's not so fair. One thing you can also do when you're like blending up, how I kind of like left this area, you can take the back of the sponge, you can sort of bounce this area over here, kind of by the eye, bounce, 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 to make it a little bit less harsh, so it's a little bit more soft. And now I'm getting my powder ready. I like to use a puff and the powder, and I like to get it ready so that I can just set right away to avoid creasing. Then I take my handy dandy mirror up and I look up. I take the back rounded tip of the sponge. I start to blend where I kind of like left it sitting. And then I blend it in this area. I pounce, 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 pounce. And I do give it a good amount of pressure. And then I blend it up into this area. On the side of my nose a little too. And I take my puff, which is ready. And I set with pressing, continuous pressing motions. And then I get lighter as I go up. And then I take a little bit more of the powder. And I go on the side of my nose, on the inner corner of my nose. For me, on my laugh lines with that powder as well. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Then I'll just take a little bit less of the powder so I don't go in as much. You can use a brush to do this. You can use the puff to do this. And I just kind of set everywhere else. And, you know, just set, 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 set. For me, this works really well because I am oily combination. I do like my T-zone to be smoothed out, so I do enjoy setting a lot. Now if you don't have like porous skin, like super porous, like I have very large pores, you don't have to set as intensely. You can use probably like a little brush and some loose powder to just lightly set, so that it's not so much. But what I will do is I will spray my face again once I'm done with the face part of my makeup so that it's not so powdery. But I do prefer a more matte soft glam than what's, you know, more popular, like a glowy skin soft glam. So that's me though. Okay, for me, this is something more personal. I like to contour my nose, especially after powdering it. I like to add a little bit more definition, maybe even a little bit extra definition, a little bit more glam definition. What I will be doing is using a sort of like cool tone contour shade, and I'm going to be using this Nabla tapered brush from their Amethyst Gem brush collection. I like to use the longer part of the tapered brush to kind of create a half circle over my nose, like this little like area. I have kind of like a rounder part at the bottom of my nose, and I just like to define that. So I use that area to kind of contour. This is completely optional. You do not have to contour your nose. And then I like to bring the flatter part of the taper and go underneath to create the illusion of a shortened nose a little bit. And I kind of move in a little bit of an angle up here and then underneath a little. I don't go too down, I use it more over here so that there's just like a little bit of an illusion there for the nose. And then I go back and forth and I blend. And then I'm going to go back into my powder and my puff. I'm adding some here just so that it's a little bit more even. And then I'm going to take it kind of like over that area. What is glam without blush? So we'll finish up the face with blush and a little bit more spray, and then we'll get into the eyes. This is the famous NARS blush, and I'm going to take a number 6 Laura Lee brush. With blush, I roll my big fluffy brush into the powder, and rolling it helps to just evenly coat the brush. Tap off the excess, and then I start to press from the apple of the cheek up. So I can press if I want a little bit more of the blush, and then I use the like end of the brush, the flat part of the brush, to blend up. So I have a little bit more of that blush going on here on the cheek. I go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. And then I'll shake up my Airbrush Flawless Finish Setting Spray, and I will go wild. I will spray. I want everything to be melted, and I will just let that dry, and we'll get into the next step. For soft glam, you don't really need to do intense eyeshadow. You can do a little bit more, but all you'll really need is one blending brush. I'll be using the EXO Cosmetics 106 blending brush and my handy dandy ring finger. So in between the middle and the pinky is your ring finger, and that finger is the weakest finger. So I like to use that finger, and then I'll also use my pinky to kind of blend out from the ring finger. So you'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. And what is soft glam without the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette? So this is, I think, my second one, and I really like the shade bronze. So it's a little bit used. She is loved, okay? She is loved. To make it as simple as possible, I'm going to use two shadows, a matte shadow and a shimmer shadow. So I'm going to get into the shade Rustic and then the shade Bronze. I'm going to twirl my blending brush into Rustic a few times. I don't know, like several times. When you dip your brush into the shadow in like rolling motions, it really gets an even coat, and then tap off the excess. I'm going to be looking down into my mirror, and I'm going to be looking down, and then I'm also going to be looking straight ahead. So with the mobile eyelid, which is the part that moves, you're going to want to focus on that. You're going to want to focus on the crease of your eyelid. And then you have this like upper space, like the brow bone space. Everybody's eyes are different, so you just want to kind of work to your shape. There's certain principles that you'll want to stick to by really focusing on the crease of your eyelid and the above the eyelid. So I'm going to take my brush at like kind of like a 90-degree angle like this, my mirror kind of down here looking forward, and then taking my brush at a kind of 90-degree angle from the outer third of the eyelid above the crease area of my eyelid, and I'm moving in swiper motions back and forth. Swiper, swiper, swiper above the crease, in the crease area of the eyelid. So we have the shade just getting on there right there. And then I'm going to move forward now into the center part of the eyelid. with very light pressure, I'm moving in swiper motions back and forth in the crease, above the crease area of the eyelid. I want my blending brush now to be a little bit cleaner, so I'm wiping off the shadow. And then I'm going to go in faster swiper motions with more pressure with the same angle from the face. So I'm holding it kind of like that. And I'm blending in faster swiper motions with my eyelid like looking down into my mirror. You can also look straight to make sure that you're going above the crease area of your eyelid. And I'm blending in swiper motions back and forth up into the brow bone. Now I'm using the tip of my blending brush instead of the edge of it. And I'm blending above the crease area, brow bone area in swiper motions, so that that color that I applied now has been dispersed onto kind of like the whole mid to outer part of the lid. Okay, so now I'm just swiping back and forth. I'm back again at the like 90-degree angle. Is that a 90-degree angle? And back and forth, and then you can blend too with a little bit more pressure with the base of the blending brush above on the brow bone area, so that you have kind of like a light wash of color. And then you'll do the same thing to the other side. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going to take the tip of the brush and dip it into rustic a couple times, tap off the excess. And this is going to be deepening up the shade. So we want a nice just blend first. And then we're gonna go into the outer corner and we're going to pat the tip of the brush into the outer corner and come in toward the middle to kind of deepen it up so that it's more blend instead of just like stuck on there. And now I'm going to use swiper motions with the tip of the brush, and I'm looking down a little bit into my mirror, and you can look forward as well to make sure that you're just getting a little bit of definition above the crease of your eyelid. Now I'll do the same thing to the other side. Now I'm going to dip this into rustic a couple times, the very tip of the brush. So this area of the brush, pinch the brush. I'm going to look forward and I'm going to just use this pinch brush and I'm going to blend it all over the lower lash line. You can go from the very inner part of the lower lash line all the way out, or you can go from the middle to the outer corner and use light pressure on the inner part and then use more pressure on the outer part so you get more of the color on the outer part of the eye. If you do have like a lot of fine lines under your eye, like me, it is nice to add this like lower shadow to the lower lid. And it's also more natural in the sense that like this part of our lids, it seems, for me, I think at least, it's a little bit darker naturally. So it's nice to just add a little bit color, like a little bit of color back into that area. Okie dokie. So now that we have the matte shade on our eye, we kind of built it up a little bit in layers. And if you want to, you can even like deepen it up even further if you want a little bit more glam. Now it's time to get into a shimmer time. I'll be taking my handy dandy ring finger, tap this into the shadow bronze. If you feel like, you know, you're a little nervous about adding shimmer, you can kind of remove some of it onto your back of your hand, just like with like cream products. You might do this. Remember, the ring finger is the lightest finger in regards to like it's the weakest one out of all your fingers on your hand, so it's going to be nice to apply shimmer with your ring finger. I'm going to take my mirror, look down. Now on the mobile part of my lid, I don't have anything here. On my mobile part of my lid, I'm going to focus the shimmer there. So I'm going to pat. So I pat. So I'm starting to get that shimmer on just in the very center of the mobile eyelid. I'm patting closer to the base of the lashes than anywhere else. So I pat close to the base of the lashes than anywhere else. And then I can start to, with light pressure, bring it close to the rustic shade over here. And then I can start to go closer to the inner part with light pressure and swiping motions, go to the inner part of the lid. And then don't worry if it goes above the crease of your eyelid. Just do this very slowly and gently. Don't use too much if you are not familiar with adding shimmer to your lid. I would use the ring finger to just blend it out. And then I would gently pat what's ever left, kind of like above the crease area, and just pat it up. So pat whatever is left above the crease area And then you have this really like smooth shimmer happening here. I'm going to tap my finger back into bronze so I can go back into my hand and just take what's left. I can go back into my hand or back in the palette, and then I'm just going to press on the like lash line of my eye to really get this to pop in the center. And I'll use my pinky to kind of blend around the edges of it. And then I'll go back and forth, pressing just into the center mobile lid of my eye, and then I'll use my pinky to just blend around that area so that I have a little bit more shimmer. For me, I like shimmer. It's my favorite. Feel free to add less shimmer, just like a little glaze if you want to, or more shimmer for this soft glam eye look. And then I will do the same thing to the other side, and then I'll get into lashes. So before I apply false lashes, I like to do a couple things. I do like to use some mascara and some eyeliner for the tight line. So I add mascara to the top and the bottom lashes, and then I make sure to use some eyeliner to tight line the top so that everything will flow together better. For mascara, I'm using the Rare Beauty mascara, and it doesn't matter how like your mascara is, just as long as your lashes are coated, because I am going to be applying false lashes. What would be nice for soft glam is using like half lashes or individual lashes, but I am going to use a full strip lash for this because I really like strip lashes. You definitely don't have to do that. You can add your mascara or individual lashes, or you can use half lashes. Now for my bottom lashes, I do like to look up, and I do like to add a good amount to my bottom lashes. For soft glam, you can use eyeliner to the bottom if you want to. I feel like that's more glam, but I'm going to use a good amount of this mascara for the bottom lashes. I feel like softer glam, just eyelashes are enough. Some people don't like mascara on the bottom at all. But since I am using a strip lash, I do want my lower lashes to be coated. For me, this is a really important step in like pretty much any makeup look, is to have my tight line. I feel like it helps the lash line just really pop. Now, one trick if you don't want to add false lashes and you have a hard time with mascara is using waterproof mascara to keep a curl in your lash. So you can curl your lashes and then add a waterproof mascara. My favorite's the Maybelline Sky High mascara, and that helps a lot, and it's so pretty, and you'll have your lashes stay. So for my strip lash, I am using kind of like a lighter lash. This is the Salon Perfect, I believe, 683 lash. So I'm just gonna pop these on. I love to use the Duo Dark Tone Quick Set adhesive. I feel like if you're not used to doing your lashes, having a quick set glue is very helpful as long as you move quick. Move fast. It's fast acting. But yeah, I do like that because it is a little bit difficult if you're not used to it. If you want to add like strip lashes to your soft glam routine, I would suggest using some tweezers, and I think it just really helps a lot. And the quick set glue that I'm using is from Duo. I love this one because it really helps. It's fast acting. I don't have to like be unsure if it's gonna stick or not. I just need to make sure that I do one lash at a time. Having a handheld mirror is so helpful. This is a nice size. Everything I've been doing is kind of like at an angle, like here or here, but for my lashes I like to move it like below my chin. I'm going to look down into my mirror, pop that on in the center, and now on the outer corner, and then on the inner part. I just like to make sure that the middle is put first, then the outer corner, and then the inner corner. And I do like to take my fingers and press together just to ensure everything. Now this is very sticky, so that's the only thing. Just make sure that inner part is really together. And then I did the same thing to the other side, just applying the lashes to finalize the soft glam look. All together is the lip. and I'll be using Cheris Cosmetics Water Gloss in the shade Eden, my favorite name. And for lip liner, I'll be using the ABH lip liner in Mocha. Okay, so I like to overline on the bottom and the top of the lip, not on the outer edges so much. It's easier for most people to overline on the bottom. On the top, you just have to be careful because everybody's top lip is different. Some people have more defined Cupid's arrow, some people have rounder Cupid's arrow. Some people have a lot of definition in their lips, some people don't. So just do this how it works best for you. So on the very middle bottom, I add a good amount of lip liner and then I connect it to the natural outer corner. And then I ring it up into the lip. Sometimes I also stick my tongue underneath to get a good line. I'll tuck in my upper lip and I create a line just above there. I'll move down into my natural lip line and back up. And I'll do the same thing to the other side. And then I'll just fill in a little bit. And then I'm just making sure that everything's kind of shaped nicely on the upper lip, because I still want to connect this like overlining in the middle over here. I don't want to go too over on the outer corners, but I do come up a little bit over here. And then I'll blend. And I'll take this beautiful Cheris Cosmetics lip and I'll just add it right on top. And then I'll add it to the center. The applicator is like a little paddle, so it's super easy to use. And it's super pretty. I think this is one of the prettiest glosses. And that completes the look of this soft glam, in-depth, detailed, step-by-step tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already. And I will see you next time. Bye!